The fleet humanity didn't announce. The galaxy learned to measure power in numbers. Fleets were counted in the thousands. Armadas blotted out stars. Victory belonged to whoever arrived loudest, largest, and first. Humanity for a long time did none of those things. They traded. They negotiated. They withdrew when necessary. Other species called it weakness. They were wrong. The alarm spread across the Orion Verge in less than a cycle. An alien coalition, old, ruthless, and unified by conquest, was advancing toward Sol. Their ships were enormous, layered with ancient alloys and ceremonial weapons, relics of civilizations that had burned 100 worlds. Before humanity learned to leave its cradle, the coalition's flagship alone was a moving continent, a quarter the mass of Earth, its hull carved with spires and weapon temples glowing like angry gods. They expected resistance. They did not expect silence. No frantic broadcasts came from Earth. No desperate alliances were announced. No evacuation fleets scrambled. Human space went quiet, so quiet that alien tacticians assumed panic had collapsed their communications. Then the sensors changed. At the outer edge of the solar system, space folded, not violently but deliberately. One by one, human warships appeared, not through jump flashes or hyperspace scars, but as if reality itself had decided they were always meant to be there. 12 battleships, each one colossal, dark, severe. Their hulls were brutal geometry, layered armor, like fortress walls stacked upon fortress walls. No glowing cannons, no missile ports, no visible weaponry at all. Only faint energy veins running beneath the armor, pulsing slowly like a heartbeat held in restraint. They formed a line, perfectly aligned, motionless. Behind them, Earth turned quietly in the sunlight. Blue and fragile and utterly unafraid. Alien commanders laughed at first. 12 ships against a civilization-ending armada. They issued demands, long and ornate, promising mercy in exchange for surrender. The human fleet did not reply. Weapons powered up across the coalition's ships. Space trembled with stored violence. Targeting solutions locked onto the human line. Algorithms predicting annihilation within seconds. The first volley fired. It never arrived. The space between the fleets thickened as if distance itself had weight. Beams curved away. Missiles slowed, stretched, and unraveled into nothing. Stars behind the human ships bent into arcs, their light dragged into impossible shapes. Confusion rippled through the alien armada. The human ships advanced, slowly, evenly, without breaking formation. No acceleration flares, no aggression, just inevitability. A single transmission finally crossed the void, calm and unadorned. You are approaching a protected world. This is your only warning. Behind that line of ships stood Earth. And for the first time in galactic history, an invading armada hesitated. When the line began to move, the alien armada did not retreat. Pride was too old a habit, conquest too deeply carved into their history. To turn away from a single human fleet, 12 silent. Ships with no visible weapons would have fractured the coalition before a shot was fired. So they chose fire. Commands rippled across the armada. Weapon spires awakened. Ancient cannons fed on stars. Antimatter wells bloomed. And missile swarms launched in numbers designed to overwhelm entire systems. Space ignited with violence as the first true barrage surged toward the human line. The human fleet did not respond. No shields flared. No counterfire answered. The 12 battleships remained motionless, dark hulls absorbing starlight, their faint energy veins pulsing with slow, steady rhythm. Then the space between the fleets changed. Distance became resistance. Beams bent away as if nudged by invisible hands. Missiles slowed, their guidance systems screaming as trajectories unraveled into impossible curves. Some weapons simply ceased to exist. Their matter stretched thin and erased, leaving only sensor ghosts behind. Confusion swept through alien command decks. They fired again, harder, broader, saturating every vector. Entire flotillas emptied their arsenals in coordinated fury. For a moment it seemed impossible that anything could survive the storm. The human fleet advanced. It was not acceleration in any conventional sense. Space itself flowed around the battleships, carrying them forward without visible thrust. The stars behind them warped, dragged into long arcs of light, as though reality was yielding the right of way. As the distance closed, alien ships at the front of the armada began to fail. Not catastrophically, not dramatically. Their engines cut out. Their weapons refused to arm. Hulls elongated, stretched into thin. Impossibilities before folding. Inward and vanishing without sound. Entire squadrons disappeared, leaving gaps so clean it was as if they had never been there. Panic replaced confidence. Admirals screamed for retreat vectors. Jump calculations collapsed into nonsense as space-time refused to behave. The closer the human ships came, the more the universe itself seemed to side with them. A second transmission crossed the void, calm and precise. "You are experiencing boundary enforcement." The words spread faster than fear. The alien flagship, the continent-sized heart of the Armada, attempted to fire its primary weapon. Energy gathered, systems straining against constraints older than the ship itself. The weapon never discharged. Space folded around the flagship's prow. Its massive frame shuddered, then elongated like a reflection in warped glass. City lights scattered across its hull, stretched into glowing lines before snapping out of existence. Silence followed. What remained of the Armada broke formation, fleeing blindly in every direction. Some escaped. Many did not. The human fleet did not pursue. The 12 battleships halted there. The cost of remembering. When the last echoes of battle faded, there was no victory broadcast. No triumphal signal surged from Earth. No celebration flared across human space. The 12 battleships remained where they were, perfectly aligned, silent against the stars. Around them stretched an emptiness so complete it felt deliberate. An absence where an Armada had once threatened a world. Earth turned on. That alone became legend. Across the galaxy, sensors struggled to reconcile what they had recorded. Logs contradicted themselves. Timestamps disagreed. Entire fleets appeared in historical data with no matching wreckage, no radiation signatures, no debris fields. Analysts argued, rewrote equations, and ultimately gave up. Something had erased more than ships. It had erased certainty. The alien coalition never reformed. Worlds that had once boasted of their unstoppable armadas withdrew into isolation, fortifying borders they no longer trusted. Trade routes shifted. Military doctrines collapsed overnight. Where once power had been measured in numbers, now it was measured in restraint. Rumors spread. They said the human ships were not built, but grown, layered with technologies that treated space-time as a medium, not a limit. Others claimed the fleet was ancient, older than humanity itself, inherited rather than created. A few whispered something more unsettling, that the ships were not weapons at all. They were anchors, boundaries placed where reality itself could be persuaded to say no. Humanity offered no clarification. The 12 battleships eventually withdrew, slipping from existence as quietly as they had arrived. No jump signatures marked their departure. Space simply relaxed, stars settling back into familiar shapes as if exhaling after a long-held breath. Life resumed. But the galaxy did not forget. In distant systems, commanders now hesitated before issuing threats toward human space. Explorers altered courses to avoid invisible lines. They could not see but deeply feared. Treaties were signed without negotiation, concessions granted without demands. Earth became a reference point not for conquest but for caution. And on Earth, life continued almost unchanged. Cities glowed at night. Children studied stars without knowing how close extinction had come. The oceans moved with the moon, indifferent to the armadas that would never arrive. Humanity did not build monuments to the battle nor carve warnings into asteroids. They did not need to, because the warning had already been delivered. In a language the universe understood. Far from Sol, in a forgotten system where a single alien ship had escaped, its captain recorded a final entry before resigning command. We believed humans survived because they were weak. We now understand the truth. They survived because they were patient, and patience, when it finally moves, is unstoppable. Back in the dark between stars, somewhere beyond detection, 12 silent ships waited. They did not hunt.